Steve, Sam, and Laila arrives at Bucharest, but with Bucky, however. Bucky, in civvies, stood at a stall. Bucky said in Romanian to the seller, "How are they? Are they good? Give me 6. Thank you." In a black cap and casual jacket, Bucky walks along scanning around. Across the street, he spots a 20-something vendor at a newsstand watching him. Bucky glances away, then looks back at the vendor who is still watching him. The vendor runs from his kiosk. Bucky goes over and picks up a paper. On the front page, there are surveillance photos of a man and the headline, "Winter Soldier Cautat pentru bombardmentul din Vienna." Bucky glances around tensely. Steve, in his dark blue suit with the shield strapped to his arm, stood inside Bucky's place. Laila was there too, dressed in tactical black with a lightweight jacket, scanning the corners for signs of a trap, and Steve looks around. There is a mattress with dishevelled covers and various bits of cheap-looking furniture. The kitchen and bedroom are in the same room. Steve finds a notebook on top of the fridge. He picks it up and opens it. There are tabs of varying colours sticking out from amongst the pages. "Heads up, Captain. German Special Forces approaching from the south." Sam's voice crackled over comms. "Understood," Steve said. Laila glanced toward the door, then froze as Bucky's standing behind Steve. Steve slowly turns around to face him. "Do you know me?" Steve asked, and Bucky stares at him. "You're Steve. I read about you in a museum." Bucky replied. "They've set the perimeter," Sam said. "I know you are nervous, and you have plenty of reason to be, but you are lying," Steve said. "I was not in Vienna. I do not do that anymore," Bucky said. "They're entering the building," Sam warned. "Well, the people who think you did are coming here now, and they are not planning to take you alive," Steve said. "That's smart. Good strategy," Bucky said dryly. "They're on the roof. I am compromised," Sam said. Armed police officers run upstairs. "This doesn't have end in a fight, but," Steve said. Outside the door, a police officer readies a battering ram. "It always ends in a fight," Bucky said. 5 seconds, Sam said. "You pulled me from the river. Why?" Steve asked. "I don't know," Bucky replied. 3 seconds, Sam said. "Yes, you do," Steve pressed. "Breach! Breach! Breach!" Sam shouted. A grenade crashes through the window. Bucky kicks it to Steve, and he smothers it with his shield as Laila had already moved, kicking over a table to give herself cover from the blast. "Shoot the door," GSG-nen soldier yells in German. The police officer slams the battering ram against the door. Bucky shields himself with the mattress against an attack from the window. He blocks the door with a table as police officers swing in on cables. Steve yanked a rug from under one, sending him flying. Laila ducked under a baton swing, swept the police officer's legs, and shoved him out of the way. Bucky slams another police officer into the wall. "Buck, stop! You are going to kill someone!" Steve shouted. Bucky slams Steve down and punches a hole in the floor. "I'm not going to kill anyone!" Bucky snapped. He ripped a cement brick from the wall and slammed it into another police officer. Gunfire erupted. Steve and Laila both moved to cover. She pressed her back to his briefly before diving toward the opposite flank. Bucky threw his backpack out the window and made for the stairs. Steve grabbed his shield and followed. Laila vaulted down the railing 2 steps behind him. Bucky hit the street and ran, only to be tackled by a black-clad figure with pointed ears. Black Panther's claws slashed through the air. "Steve!" Laila skidded to a stop, staring. "Sam, southwest, rooftop," Steve said quickly, and Sam's voice came. "Who the hell's the other guy?" "About to find out," Steve replied. Black Panther and Bucky grappled. Steve leapt down from the balcony. Laila followed, landing hard and rolling to absorb the impact. Gunfire from the chopper rattled around them. "Sam," Steve called. "Got him," Sam said. Sam shoved the chopper off course. Bucky broke free and bolted, Panther sliding down a wall after him. Laila sprinted after Steve, weaving through the chaos. Bucky jumped onto a motorbike, flipping the rider off. He roared forward, weaving through traffic. Steve chased in a commandeered 4x4. Laila clung to the side rail, one hand gripping the frame, as Steve swerved to try and shake Panther off the back. "Stand down! Stand down!" GSG-9 driver yelled. "Hang on!" Steve called over the engine. Laila shot him a look, not planning on letting go. They blasted through an underpass. Bucky's sticky bomb exploded ahead, bringing down rubble. Steve swerved through. Laila shielded her face from the debris. Black Panther and Bucky tumbled to the ground. Steve leapt from the 4x4, pulling Panther away from Bucky. Laila slid down beside Steve, ready to step in, but the armed police surrounded them instantly. "Stand down, now," Rhodey's voice cut in. Steve slowly put his arms back. Laila raised her hands too, her glare fixed on the nearest police officer, who shoved Bucky to his knees. "Congratulations, Captain. You are a criminal." Rhodey looked at Steve. The police cuffed Steve and Laila, hauling them up. Bucky was forced flat on the ground. Black Panther retracted his claws and pulled off his mask. Steve's eyes narrowed. "What's the order?" GSG-9 soldier asked in German. "Your Highness," Rhodey said. Bucky was dragged away. Laila glanced at Steve, both of them knowing this was far from over. Everyone starts to arrive at Berlin. Traffic rolled around the Victory Column. Along the Spree River, a police convoy cut through the streets. In the middle was a grey armed truck. Inside the truck, Bucky sat in restraints inside a glass-walled prison pod. 3 armed guards sat on the other side, rifles ready. A police motorbike stopped traffic. A van driver gestured angrily from his window as the convoy turned a corner onto a bridge. In the back of an SUV, Steve sat beside Laila. T'Challa sat in the front passenger seat. Sam was in the very back seat behind them. "So, you like cats?" Sam said. Laila shot him a side look, eyebrows lifting. Sam, Steve sighed. "What? Dude shows up dressed like a cat and you don't want to know more?" Sam shrugged. Steve ignored him, eyes forward. He asked, "Your suit, it's vibranium?" The Black Panther has been the protector of Wakanda for generations. A mantle passed from warrior to warrior. And now, because your friend murdered my father, I also wear the mantle of king. T'Challa's eyes narrowed as he glanced sideways. The air in the SUV tightened. Laila shifted slightly, her gaze flicking to Steve. "So, I ask you, as both warrior and king, how long do you think you can keep your friend safe from me?" T'Challa continued. Steve's jaw tightened, stony-faced. Laila leaned closer to him, her voice low, but firm. "He is not the enemy, Steve. Do not give him the satisfaction of thinking he scares you," Laila murmured. Traffic rolled around the Victory Column. The police convoy moved along the Spree River. In the middle, a grey armed truck carried Bucky, restrained inside a glass-walled prison pod. An SUV pulled up outside the bunker. Steve got out first, Laila right behind him, with Sam and T'Challa following. Steve glanced toward the truck, his eyes briefly finding Bucky's. Laila caught the look, her lips pressing into a thin line. They approached Sharon, who stood beside a diminutive, grey-haired man. "What's gonna happen to him?" Steve asked. "Same thing that ought to happen to you. Psychological evaluation and extradition," Everett Ross said. "This is Everett Ross, Deputy Task Force Commander," Sharon said. "What about our lawyer?" Steve asked. "Lawyer, that is funny. See, their weapons are placed in lockup. Oh, we will write you a receipt." Ross smirked. "I better not look out the window and see anybody flying around in that," Sam said. As they moved on, Steve looked back again, and this time Bucky saw him. Laila noticed, her hand brushing briefly against Steve's, in quiet solidarity before they entered the skywalk. on a covered skywalk. You'll be provided with an office instead of a cell. Now, do me a favour, stay in it, Ross said. I don't intend on going anywhere, T'Challa said. For the record, this is what making things worse looks like, Natasha said. He's alive, Steve said quietly. Number Romania was not Accords sanctioned, and Colonel Rhodes is supervising cleanup, Tony says on the phone. Try not to break anything while we fix this, Natasha said. Consequences. You bet there will be consequences. Obviously, you can quote me on that, because I just said it. Anything else? Thank you, sir, Tony said, still on his phone. Consequences? Steve asked. Secretary Ross wants you both prosecuted. Had to give him something, Tony said. I'm not getting that shield back, am I? Steve asked. Technically, it is the government's property. Wings, too, Natasha said. That's cold, Sam muttered. Warmer than jail, Tony said. Layla's eyes narrowed at that, but she said nothing. And after a while, Tony finds Steve and Layla in a glass-walled office overlooking the control room. Hey, you want to see something cool? I pulled something from Dad's archives. Felt timely, Tony said. Tony shows him 2 pens in a black presentation box. FDR signed the Lend-Lease Bill with these in 1941, provided support to the Allies when they needed it most. Tony continued. Some would say it brought our country closer to war, Steve said. See? If not for these, you would not be here. I am trying to... What do you call it? That is an olive branch. Is that what you call it? Tony replied. Layla crossed her arms, watching him closely. Funny, an olive branch usually doesn't come with handcuffs. Is Pepper here? I did not see her, Steve asked. We're kind of... Well, not kind of, Tony said. Pregnant? Steve gasped. Number, definitely not. We are taking a break. It is nobody's fault, Tony said. I am so sorry, Tony. I did not know, Steve said softly. The conversation unfolded as in canon, Tony admitting his mistakes, Steve pushing back on the Accords. With Layla quietly pacing behind Steve, her eyes flicking between them. She's a kid, Steve yelled in defense of Wanda, and Layla added, and if you think locking her up makes the world safer, you've already lost the point of what we do. Tony's jaw tightened, but he did not bite back at her. His focus stayed on Steve. You keep telling yourself that, Steve said as he put down the pen before continuing. Hate to break up the set, before walking out.